Brother Knights, this is your state deputy welcoming you to the annual meeting of the Nebraska State Council, and I now declare this meeting to order. As we open this virtual meeting, Father Josh is unable to join us and asks that I lead the opening prayer. He sends his blessing. O Mary, you always brighten our path as a sign of salvation and of hope. We entrust ourselves to you, health of the sick, who, at the cross, took part in Jesus' pain while remaining steadfast in faith. Our loving Mother, you know what we need, and we are confident you will provide for us. At Cana in Galilee, intercede for us with your Son Jesus, the divine physician, for those who have fallen ill, for those who are vulnerable, and for those who have died. Intercede also for those charged with protecting the health and safety of others, and for those who are tending to the sick and seeking a cure. For us, O Mother of divine love, to conform to the will of the Father and to do as we are told by Jesus, who took upon himself our suffering and carried our sorrows, so as to lead us through the cross to the glory of the resurrection. Amen. Under thy protection we seek refuge, O Mother of God. In our needs, despise not our petitions, but deliver us always from all dangers, O glorious and blessed Virgin. Amen. There are a few announcements I need to make as we proceed with this virtual meeting. We know that this will be a unique experience for us all, including your state officers and staff, so I'm grateful for your patience. Only delegates with proper credentials have the right to speak during this meeting. This is the same as 4 rights during a typical meeting. If someone with the right to speak wishes to do so, please hit *3 on your phone, and you will be placed in a queue. Note that you may be contacted so that we may know your intention to alert me when to recognize you. Please do not mute your phone. The system automatically mutes participants. This will speed up the process when being recognized to speak. The minutes of the 2019 State Convention and all reports of committees, reports of officers, resolutions have been posted on the Nebraska website for your review. Our goal is to complete this required business in 90 minutes, so many items will be abbreviated or eliminated. I ask that everyone, especially delegates, stay connected until we have completed the meeting. If you are dropped, please rejoin the call in progress by dialing 1-877-228-2184 and enter ID number 117987. Due to the circumstances of this virtual state meeting, I have asked our State Secretary, Matt Richardson, and State Treasurer, Bob Wool, to serve as our Credentials Committee. I have also appointed State Advocate James Korth to serve as our parliamentarian for this virtual meeting. And now, it is truly an honor and privilege to welcome Carl Anderson, Supreme Knight, who is participating in our meeting today. At this time, worthy Supreme Knight, please provide your remarks.
Thank you very much. And may it please our worthy State Deputy Baritsky, our worthy former Supreme Director Conrad, our worthy former Supreme Warden Ostiak, and all my brother knights. I had hoped to be with you in person, but unfortunately the pandemic has made that impossible. I applaud you nonetheless for holding this virtual convention, and I appreciate the extra effort to make this teleconference meeting a success. The coronavirus pandemic has changed our daily life, but it will not change our commitment to fraternity. This is not the first pandemic the Knights of Columbus has faced. In the late 19th century and again in 1918, we remained strong and active as sickness spread. And what was true then is true now. Why? Because we have remained true to our principles. I've said before that where there's a need, there's a knight. And this is a time of great need. And once again, we must stand together to meet it. We have the financial strength to address the suffering we see around us. But more importantly, we have the fraternal strength to do the great works of charity that the times demand. As leaders of your jurisdiction, you have the responsibility to mobilize our efforts in Nebraska. Thank you for what you've already done. It is impressive. Your brother Knights will continue to look to you for leadership. Continue to show them the Knights of Columbus way to put their faith into action. To respond to this pandemic in March, we launched our new initiative, Leave No Neighbor Behind. It calls on all Knights to support our brothers, to support our parishes, and to support our communities, to feed the hungry, and to participate in blood drives. Your councils are the linchpin of this order-wide effort to leave no neighbor behind. And I would ask you to begin with the brothers in your council. Please contact every one of them. Do they need a helping hand? During this time, no brother Knight should feel forgotten or left behind by his council. And we should have the same approach to our parishes and our neighborhoods. At the start of Holy Week, we announced a multi-million-dollar campaign to support food banks in the United States and Canada. We are providing urgent support to the hardest-hit communities and the neediest among us. Our initial commitment was for $1,250,000, but it is only the first phase of this campaign. Many councils and individual Knights have contributed to our efforts. This important work must continue in the days ahead. In addition to our charity, we are also standing strong for unity. With our church experiencing serious financial strain, the Order established a $100 million church loan fund for dioceses in the United States and Canada. It will offer dioceses a $1 million line of credit, and this will help them weather the serious economic impact of the crisis. We were proud to sponsor the Pope's Holy Week broadcasts, including his historic Urbi et Orbi blessing of the city of Rome and of the world in response to the pandemic. Pope Francis has called on all Christians to unite their voices to heaven. And so I urge every Knight and his family to pray our prayer for protection in time of pandemic. And as the crisis continues, so will the need for charity and unity. And the same is true of fraternity. With all in-person Knights of Columbus meetings canceled for the foreseeable future, we are finding new ways of bringing brother Knights together. And this convention is one example of what's possible. Our insurance agents and our customer service team also remain available to help members with any insurance or related financial issues. The challenges are great, but our determination to overcome them is greater still. And here's a quick summary of what we've accomplished in just the last 2 months. Given the Supreme Council's proximity to the epicenter of the U.S. outbreak in New York City, we took early action, well before most companies did, to ensure the health and safety of our employees and the continuity of our business operations at the Supreme Office by adopting a remote work plan. And the transition of virtually all our employees went forward in an exemplary manner, as did the work of our insurance agents, as they too transitioned to a new operating model demanded by social distancing. We also developed IT and procedural solutions to holding virtual state conventions, an online exemplification of our new ceremonial, an emergency church loan program for Catholic dioceses, as I've just mentioned, and we implemented, as I said, the multi-million-dollar food assistance program through our Leave No Neighbor Behind initiative. So as you can see, during this pandemic, we will forge ahead together as brother Knights, and we will leave no neighbor behind. We will come through this crisis stronger than before. And I believe our response to this crisis will rank among the Order's finest hours. As you know, this fraternal year, the Knights of Columbus reached 2 million members. This is an historic milestone, and I want to thank all the Brother Knights who made this possible. The day I was elected your Supreme Knight, I said we have a moral obligation to offer the benefits of membership in the Knights of Columbus to every eligible Catholic man. Father McGivney's gift to us of this wonderful organization was never intended as a gift for only a few. It was always meant to be shared. And now, nearly 20 years later, I believe this more strongly than ever. The more men who join, the more lives we will transform, and the more communities we will serve. The more men we have, the more we will do for our parishes, and the more Catholic families we will strengthen. Now, a key component of our efforts going forward will be our new exemplification ceremony. It has already received an overwhelmingly positive response, and well it should. It teaches our lessons of charity, unity, and fraternity in a way that is compelling, and it is grounded in the rich history of our order. It will make it easier to bring men into our ranks and for those men to serve as council officers. This new ceremony provides a gateway to inspire the next generation of knights and to strengthen our councils. Now it is available in a virtual format when in-person ceremonials are not possible. It is now available each Thursday evening online, making it possible to exemplify new members and advance existing members to the third degree. So if you haven't yet participated in the new ceremonial, I encourage you to view it this Thursday evening. As you know, men join the Knights of Columbus for the benefits of belonging to our great Catholic brotherhood. Our principles of charity, unity, and fraternity change lives every day for the better. Each day, we fulfill Father McGivney's dream of offering Catholic families financial protection they can depend upon through our commitment to insurance by Brother Knights for Brother Knights. Now, the secret of our impressive growth is simple. Through the spiritual genius of Father McGivney, we have found a way to transform friends into brothers, brothers who are committed to one another. The Knights of Columbus offers Catholic men a path of Christian discipleship, and it is a path marked by the guideposts of charity, unity, and fraternity. It is a path we walk not just one day or 1 hour a week, but 24/7. And you can be proud that the business aspects of the order have consistently been rated superior, and that we successfully compete, not in spite of, but because of our Catholic principles. And you can be very proud of this. On April 6th, Standard & Poor's released its review of North American life insurance companies, ranking them from strongest to weakest, based on their financial strength and the outlook as to how well they are positioned to handle the impact of the pandemic. Out of hundreds of companies in North America, only 6 were placed in the top category, and the Knights of Columbus is one of those 6. Now, this financial strength does not magically appear overnight. It is the result of a consistent and sustained determination over many years to do what is best for our brother Knights in a prudent and professional way. And much of the credit belongs to our dedicated general and field agents. And I mean this especially about your agents, your general agents here in Nebraska, Neil Pfeiffer, Darren Reed, and Tony Swanson. And I also want to acknowledge the many years of outstanding achievement by our recently retired general agent, Kevin Pfeiffer. Our program of insurance by Brother Knights for Brother Knights is a great responsibility, and it merits the support of all of us. We have more than $100 billion, $100 billion of insurance in force, protecting the financial future of our Catholic families. As leaders of your jurisdiction, remember that your general and field agents can be your best partner in working to grow the order. Now our agents have the added challenge of continuing to serve our Brother Knights without being able to meet with them in person. But you can help by encouraging virtual meetings between our field agents and our Brother Knights. We should all remember that our insurance program and our charitable work arise from the same source, our responsibility to our families and to those in need. Last year alone, our Brother Knights gave more than $185 million to charity and volunteered more than 76 million hours. We fed the homeless, fed the hungry, sheltered the homeless, donated more than 8,500 wheelchairs, and put coats on the back of more than 117,000 children. And I'm proud that earlier in this fraternal year, our Brother Knights from Mexico and the United States came together to provide food, water, and clothing to displaced families along the border, especially to women and children. These efforts keep faith with our long history of defending the suffering and the marginalized. We also continue our efforts to rebuild Christian communities in Iraq. And in this regard, I want to especially thank our former Supreme Director, Mike Conrad, in St. John the Baptist Council 10305 for their tremendous work in coming to the aid of so many suffering refugees in Iraq. When it comes to defending the right to life, we will continue to lead the way. Just over 10 years ago, we launched a new initiative to place 1,000 ultrasound machines in crisis pregnancy centers. And we've not only met that goal, we've exceeded it. Today, we have placed more than 1,200 ultrasound machines, and 9 of them are in Nebraska. And if each ultrasound reduces the number of abortions by just 1 each week, then we will save more than 60,000 children in the coming year. Think of that. 60,000 children saved. And more than 450 of those children will be saved in Nebraska because of you. As I've said before, this is the greatest humanitarian achievement in the history of the Knights of Columbus. But there is still much more for us to do. We must continue to rescue the unborn until that time when they are once again protected by law. In all we do, we seek a charity that evangelizes. The Lord has called us to be His witnesses, and especially to be His witnesses in our homes and in our parishes. And that is why several years ago we launched the Building the Domestic Church program. This is why we started our Faith in Action initiative. And these programs deserve the attention of every council. So does our powerful new video series, Into the Breach. Today I ask that every council promote these programs. During this pandemic, when Catholics are spending more time than ever at home, our programs to build up the church of the home are needed more than ever. Our history is one in which we can all be proud. Today, nearly every jurisdiction can boast 100 years of charity, unity, and fraternity. This year also marks another milestone in the history of the Order, 100 years of charitable service in Rome to the successors of Peter. Recently, the Supreme Officers and Supreme Directors traveled to the Eternal City, where Pope Francis received us in a private audience. That pilgrimage commemorated the first Knights of Columbus audience with Pope Benedict XV in 1920, In his message to us, Pope Francis praised our faithful witness in defense of life, our support for persecuted Christians, and all our charitable efforts. He also thanked us, and now I quote him, for our unswerving devotion to the successor of Peter. And I would ask you to pay particular attention to these words of Pope Francis. He said this, in our world, marked by divisions and inequalities, the generous commitment of your order to serve all in need offers, especially to young people, an important inspiration to overcome a globalization of indifference and build together a more just and inclusive society. I firmly believe that every bishop in Nebraska can say the same about your work. My brother Knights, the Knights of Columbus is needed today more than ever before, not only to confront and overcome the coronavirus pandemic, but to protect our church and to ensure a future of faith for our children and our grandchildren. My sincere hope is that amidst all these challenges, we grow closer to one another and to the Lord, and that each of us will live more profoundly our principles of charity, unity, and fraternity. May the Venerable Father McGivney and Our Lady of Guadalupe pray for us all. Vivat Jesus.
Worthy Supreme Knight, thank you for your inspirational and informative remarks and being with us today. At this time, I recognize our General Agent Neil Pfeiffer for his remarks to this meeting.
Worthy State Deputy Mark, thank you so much for allowing me to speak. Worthy Supreme Knight, worthy State Deputy, brothers all, thank you for giving me the time to address you briefly during this historic virtual convention. This is an unprecedented time for us all, and on behalf of myself and Tony Swanson, the General Agents of the State of Nebraska, please be assured, first and foremost, our agencies of Nebraska's thoughts and prayers for you and your families. An agent's primary role is to be there for his brothers. So please, do not hesitate to reach out to us if there's anything that we can do to help in these times. I want to assure you that our agencies and all the Knights of Columbus business and fraternal functions are operational. Agents have transitioned into meeting and conducting business with members via Skype. This transition has been a great convenience for our members. We are finding that both members and agents are really enjoying this new experience, and we're excited to incorporate that into our standard practices once we have moved past this pandemic. The Supreme Council has shifted its business operations as well and are working remotely since mid-March. This is a time, I know, when many of you are having more financial concerns than usual. Maybe you're concerned about volatility. Maybe you need to be able to access more of your cash that's tied up in other places. Maybe you're thinking about adding insurance. Or maybe you're looking for a new career. As always, the Knights of Columbus stands ready, by design, by Father McGivney himself. Protect your financial future. Just this past month, at the height of the economic uncertainty brought onto us by the coronavirus, Standard & Poor's Global Ratings published a report showing the Knights of Columbus as being tied for the most financially strong life insurance carrier in all of North America. That's a reality made possible only by our strong Catholic guiding principles and by the tremendous support and trust that you show each of us every day, every year. If we didn't have those things, we'd never be able to weather the storm. We're trusted partners, where trusted partners are needed more than ever before. So as we turn the page, God willing, from this moment to the next, I want to personally invite you to have a conversation with us. I want to personally thank you, and especially yours truly, Mark, and your state officers, for the support and the collaboration you have given us this past year. You know, we are all fraternalists. Just as the successes of our insurance business ought to be points of pride for all of us, we are so incredibly proud of the work that all of you do to help support the church and our communities. You are a beacon of God's joy and God's charity in this state, and we are honored to work for you and with you. And we are excited to tackle this next fraternal year moving forward together. I'd like to close with one personal observation. With this pandemic, we've been forced to change, and change we have. But because of the fraternal relationship between the members of the State of Nebraska Knights of Columbus, our brotherhood with the officers, we continue to weather the storm. We continue to excel. We continue to outperform what many of the industry leaders thought we could not do. We maintain and we continue to help, and we continue to move forward. But again, that would not be possible without the fraternal relationship that we have with you. So on behalf of myself and Tony Swanson and all the agents of Nebraska, we bid you a wonderful virtual state convention. We hope to see you soon. And until then, Viva Jesus.
Thank you, Brother Neil. I now call on our State Secretary for the report of the Credentials Committee.
In reviewing the list of delegates based on the information provided by our council and cross-checking with the members that have joined us today for this virtual meeting, our state treasurer and myself have the following number of delegates: 5 state officers, 1 immediate past state deputy, 114 delegates for a total of 120 voting delegates.
Without objection, the roll of the delegates submitted by the Credentials Committee will be the official roll of voting members of the convention. Without objection, the rules are suspended. The following shortened order of business will be adopted. Prayer. Appointment of Committee on Credentials. Report of Committee of Credentials, approval of 2019 minutes, report of the committees, report of the state officers, nomination and election of state officers, nomination and election of representatives and alternates to the Supreme Council, consideration of resolutions, considerations of amendments to the State Council bylaws, new business, prayer, and adjournment. At this time, we will proceed with the approval of the minutes of the 2019 State Convention, which have been posted on our Nebraska website. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Without objection, the minutes are approved. At this time, we will proceed with the report of committees, district deputies, directors, and chairmen. As the various reports of the committees have been posted to our Nebraska website prior to the state virtual convention. Without objection, they will be accepted as written and included in the minutes. Let's move on to the report of officers. As the various reports of the state officers have been posted on our state website prior to the virtual state convention. Without objection, they will be accepted as written and included in the minutes. I will ask our State Secretary, is there an update to the report of Credentials Committee?
Worthy State Deputy, the number of delegates has not changed. We have 120 voting delegates. Worthy State Deputy, the number has not changed. We have 120 voting delegates.
Without objection, the revised roll of delegates submitted by the Credentials Committee will be the official roll of voting members of the convention. We will now proceed to the election of officers. Please note that nominations submitted to the State Secretary will be considered as seconded nominations made to the floor for consideration of that respective position. It is important that voting delegates follow the instructions on how to vote. The voting will be anonymous. The system that we are using records the votes, but does not show how any particular delegate voted. Remember that only credentialed delegates have the right to the floor, and you must be recognized to speak. Nominations presented from the floor today will be restricted to the straightforward format of, my name is Joe Delegate from council number, and I nominate Jim Knight for the position of State Warden. Even though we are using an electronic polling system for the vote, in case of an unforeseen issue, I have appointed the immediate past State Deputy, Lou Gasper, as the judge, and the following Mike Conrad, Tony Hergott, and Rich Lowry as State Deputies as tellers. I relinquish the gavel to the immediate past State Deputy, Lou Gasper.
Thank you, worthy State Deputy. The current slate of officers is State Deputy Mark Baritsky, State Secretary Matt Richardson, State Treasurer Robert Wolf, State Advocate James Court, State Warden Michael Schaefer. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing no additional nominations, the election of the slate of officers is so ordered. I return the gavel to worthy State Deputy Baritsky.
We will proceed to the election of delegates to the Supreme Meeting in Washington, D.C. in August 2020. Your State Deputy and the immediate past State Deputy are automatic delegates. Following a Nebraska tradition, the Chair nominated our State Chaplain, Father Joshua Brown, and State Secretary, Matthew Richardson, as delegates. In addition to these, Nebraska can elect 6 more third-degree members to represent Nebraska at the meeting, 3 insurance members, and 3 associate members. Nominations for elections to the Supreme Meeting were opened at our mid-year meeting in December 2019 in Lincoln, Nebraska. Written solicitations from nominees were provided each council in January 2020 and again in February 2020. Nominations were requested in writing by April 6, 2020 to the State Secretary, Matt Richardson. Nominations were closed April 6. We have 2 nominees. District Deputy number 38, Lawrence Corner, Creek Council 7704, insured member. And past Grand Knight and former District Deputy Kenneth Ayler, Classmates Council 1966, insurance member. The election of our State Chaplain, State Secretary, Lawrence Corner, and Kenneth Ayler are so ordered. In accordance with Nebraska bylaws, I will appoint 4 more delegates to the Supreme Meeting. I ask that all insurance and associate delegates please email the State Secretary your full name, membership number, council number, date of birth, and phone numbers. The State Secretary email is mattconn1@msn.com. Thank you. At this time, I call on State Advocate James Court to present us the report of the Resolutions Committee. Before he starts, let me state that the recommendation of the Resolutions Committee will act as an active motion. If anybody wishes to speak on resolutions, please hit *3 on your phone, and you will be placed in a queue. Once you are recognized as having the floor, please be ready to speak. If no one requests to speak, the dropping of the gavel will signal the approval of the committee's recommendation. Worthy State Advocate, please proceed.
Thank you, worthy State Deputy. On March 10, 2020, Proposed resolutions for the 2020-2021 Columbian year were mailed to each council and district deputy. The proposed resolutions included the standard fealty, commendation, and support resolutions, position resolutions, authorizing resolutions, and also resolutions from subordinate councils. As the worthy state deputy mentioned in his earlier comments, the proposed resolutions were posted on the state website and are presently available there. After the proposed resolutions were mailed out, a resolutions committee was formed and its members notified. Subsequent to that, of course, we experienced and continue to experience the COVID-19 pandemic, which obviously has affected many aspects of this year's annual meeting. It likewise affected resolutions. The guidance that State Council received from Supreme was to limit resolutions to be approved and adopted to the authorizing resolutions only. Ultimately, that is the recommendation of the Resolutions Committee. Following are the resolutions recommended by the Resolutions Committee for approval and adoption for the 2021 Columbian year. And again, these are included in the proposed resolutions posted on the state website, and they appear, I believe, on page 3 of that document. First resolution reads as follows. Resolved, State Council shall host the annual workshop forum during the 2021-2022 State Convention and pay the fair and reasonable expenses thereof. The next resolution reads as follows. Resolved, the State Council shall host an annual chaplain seminar during the 2021-2022 State Convention and pay the fair and reasonable expenses thereof. The next resolution reads as follows. Resolved, the State Council shall prepare, publish, and distribute a state directory for the 2020-2021 Columbian year and pay the actual expenses thereof. The next resolution reads as follows. Resolved, the State Council publish the Knights Courier quarterly for the 2020-2021 Columbian year and pay the fair and reasonable expenses thereof. And further resolved, each issue of the Knights Courier published during the 2020-2021 Columbian year shall be delivered to each member of each subordinate council as reflected by the membership records maintained in the office of the Supreme Council by electronic transmission, U.S. Postal Service, hand delivery, or other reasonably reliable means as determined and directed by the State Council Executive Committee, and that the fair and reasonable expenses thereof be paid by the State Council. The language of the next resolution was modified by the Resolutions Committee from what was previously proposed to reflect action by the State Council to reduce on a one-time basis the annual assessment on subordinate councils, specifically the payment due in July of this year. Modified language for this resolution reads as follows. Resolved, the State Council shall continue to levy an annual assessment on the subordinate councils of $8.75 per capita, payable pursuant to the first revised and restated bylaws of the Nebraska State Council of the Knights of Columbus, and all such prior assessments made and collected are approved. However, it is further resolved that on a one-time only, the annual assessment payment due during the month of July 2020 shall be reduced to $2.20 per capita, thereby reducing the annual assessment for the 2020-2021 Columbian year to $6.55 per capita. The language of the next resolution reads as follows. Resolved, State Council per diem and mileage rate referenced in the first revised and restated bylaws of the Nebraska State Council of the Knights of Columbus shall be as follows. Per diem at $15, mileage at 45 cents per mile one way, and further resolved, all such prior assessments made and collected are approved. The next resolution reads as follows. Resolved, for the 2020 and 2021 year, the Executive Committee shall be and is authorized to pay expenses and obligations of the State Council and select and disperse State Council funds to organizations the Executive Committee deems worthy of support as determined any regular or special meeting of the committee pursuant to the bylaws, and that all such proper payments and disbursements made during the past year are approved. The language of the next resolution and final resolution reads as follows. Resolved, the State Council shall prepare, publish, and distribute a report of charitable disbursements in a form and at a time as determined and directed by the Executive Committee. It is the recommendation for the State Deputy of the Resolution Committee that these resolutions be approved and adopted. This concludes the State Advocate's report on resolutions. Vivat Jesus.
Recommendation of Resolution Committee is adopted. Thank you, worthy State Advocate. Let us proceed to new business. Is there any other business to come before the convention? Hearing none, I would like to take this opportunity and thank those who have given of their time to the success of our historic virtual state convention and those who have given so much to the Knights of Columbus. Our worthy Supreme Knight Carl Anderson and our state chaplain, Father Joshua Brown. The Supreme Support Team, Joe Ramirez, Regional Growth Director and past State Deputy of Iowa. Sean Pott, Director of Programs. Thomas Millardo, Special Events Coordinator, led by Kevin Brady, Director of Membership Records. Our state officers, Secretary Matt Richardson, Treasurer Bob Wolf, Advocate James Korth, Warden Michael Schaefer, and immediate past State Deputy Lou Gasper. The screeners, Mike Conrad, past State Deputy and former Supreme Director, Richard Lowry, past State Deputy and District Master, Tony Hergott, past State Deputy, and Ray Guggenberger, Executive Secretary, Crystal Harrison, and the support team from the Supreme Office. Our general and field agents, foundations, program and membership teams, district deputies, and our Grand Knights and their councils. Thank you all for your support to the Knights of Columbus, churches, communities, clergy, religious, and those who are less fortunate. You are a blessing to all of humanity. Let us close this annual meeting by reciting St. Michael the Archangel prayer. St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who prowl throughout the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. I thank everyone for your time today. This concludes our virtual annual meeting of the Nebraska State Council. This meeting is officially adjourned. May God bless you and your family.
Well done, worthy State Deputy.
Great job, Mark.
Thank you.
Good job, Mark.
Everybody.
Well done. Good job.
Very good job. Congratulations.
Great job, worthy State Deputy Ski. And Bob's on as well.
Yep. Good job, our worthy State Deputy.
Awesome job, worthy State Deputy Beretsky. Very good job. And thank you to the Supreme staff for all your support.
No problem at all. Glad it went well. I think you guys hold the record now for the most efficient convention. That was just over 45 minutes.
It might have been the shortest one, too. That was impressive.
Gee, does that have anything to do with military protocol?
Hey, I can't thank everybody. I can't thank everybody enough from Supreme and the state. We are so blessed to be in order. And again, thank you so much.
Great, no problem. So the recording of this will be available probably next week. So we'll send that out to you so you can do that for the minutes. We also have a transcription of the Supreme Knight's remarks, which we can get out to you as well for the minutes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. This is Sean. We had 32 listening in on the additional conference line throughout the convention.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and happy Mother's Day to all of the wives out there.
Thank you, and you all as well.
All right, thank you. Have a great weekend,
everybody.
Thank
Take care.
Great. Have a good weekend. Stay safe.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Yep. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye. Thank you. Goodbye.
State Warden and State Treasurer signing off.
Thank you. Goodbye.
State Secretary signing off.
Sometimes longer than the business stuff, which is fine.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Immediate past state deputy signing off.